Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Brownsville Matters. We have Gilbert Hernandez here today, and we're going to talk to him in the next 30 minutes about a crazy adventure of his. He has actually done something that's going against the trend. He has opened a bookstore, and most bookstores now are online. Mm-hmm. Amazon is the 800-pound gorilla. and so it's, Gilbert, are you crazy?
I've been told yes.
And you've opened a bookstore in downtown Brownsville. So that's very brave of you, but I am in great admiration of what you're undertaking and highly supportive. So how did you get this idea?
Well, the idea came to me where all great ideas come from the shower. Yes, the idea came to me while it was a strange question. I asked myself, hold on, is Brownsville, Texas the largest city in America without a bookstore?
Good question.
I have lots of friends who complain that we don't have a traditional bookstore here. Mm-hmm. We have a Christian bookstore in North Brownsville that serves the faithful. Mm-hmm. We have a campus bookstore at UTRGV mm-hmm. that serves the students for textbooks and so forth. But we don't have a full-service traditional bookstore where people could just enter, unwind. Mm-hmm. So I did the research, Dr. Strong. Turns out we are the largest metropolitan area whose largest city does not have a bookstore in all the United States.
My goodness.
Yes, there are larger cities than Brownsville in terms of population without bookstores, but let's say the number one on that list, North Las Vegas, Nevada. If you live there, where are you going to drive to get a book? Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, right.
Right, and the largest, Brownsville's number two on that list in Texas. The number one is Grand Prairie. There's a Barnes & Noble 10 minutes down the road in Arlington.
Yes.
Yeah, so people in the handful of cities that are greater than Brownsville in population don't have problems in terms of getting books. We do. You hear everyone complaining, I have to drive to McAllen, to the Barnes & Noble. So I'm here to change that.
So you're the oasis.
Yes.
In the book desert.
Correct. That is the term for it, the book desert. Mm-hmm.
Harlingen?
Harlingen does have a secondhand bookstore. Yes. Yeah. And there are a couple of bookstores, one in Port Isabel, one at South Padre Island. Mm-hmm. But like I said, we're the largest metropolitan area whose largest city does not have a bookstore.
Well, the one at South Padre Island, Paragraph's closed.
Yes.
Because he retired.
Correct. I'm very good friends with them.
But there's not, but there's still another one?
Yes, Karma Coffee and Books.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, the owner of which has also been mentoring, helping me out in this endeavor.
But it's a coffee shop and bookstore, correct?
Correct.
But that's kind of common these days. That coffee and literature just go together.
Yes, and that's actually what I'm going for with Buo.
Now, what kinds of books? Do you have a kind of special genre that you focus on?
Books of all kinds. Mm-hmm. I like to have a little bit of everything.
But what sells?
What sells? From what I've seen, fantasy and sci-fi for some reason are very hot. Mm-hmm. Anything related to local matters, Brownsville RGV history flies off the shelves. Mm-hmm. What else?
So the local lore and historical items, they do well.
Yes.
And that's natural a lot of times. I remember, wasn't too long ago, I was talking to hotel manager out there at the island, and he said, if I just had a really good history of the island, he said, that would just sell buckets of books every day. Because people always are asking for that. And there are a couple of books on the history of the island, but the two that I know of are dated now. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, a lot of that history is not dated, but it's dated in terms of they were published 30 years ago or 20 years ago. So to have that updated, and I think what a lot of people want when they want a local history for tourism is they want something slick and shiny with photographs and etc. Kind of a Facebook in book form.
Yes.
A quick read, So that seems to be a popular item. So sci-fi, do you think maybe that's because of the demographics? You attract a younger demographic?
Oh, certainly. I've made 3 surveys throughout the course of this endeavor. What surprised me the most is how defined the readership here. In terms of gender, 80% of my clients are women.
Wow.
Yes. Nationwide, women have always had a slight edge over men in terms of reading.
Sure.
But here in Brownsville, the difference is more pronounced.
Okay.
Yes. And in terms of age, I want to say it's 1/3 Gen Z, 25 and below, and then 1/3 millennials, 25 to 40, and 1/3 everyone else.
And these women are reading sci-fi?
Yeah, quite a few of them.
Because, the reputation is that women lean toward romance.
Actually, romance, only the modern, the new trending bestsellers sell best for romance.
The older Harlequin romance, etc.
No, they're still there on my shelf.
Well, if you go to a used bookstore, they'll have 1,000 copies of Harlequin romance,
Right.
and they do sell them, but
Yeah.
they sell at 25 cents a copy or something.
Right.
$1 probably, I don't know. But there are women, I would guess just from my experience of being in bookstores like that they're kind of 50 and up that are buying the hell out of those Harlequin romance because they grew up on them in a sense, so they lean that way. But it's interesting. So they like the sci-fi and there's a kind of movement in Korean fiction, right?
Korean fiction. Yes, definitely in terms of television series, and music as well. K-pop. Last year we had the Squid Game, very popular on Netflix. But I'm not sure if I'm seeing that in literature, though.
Okay.
Maybe not yet.
Okay. What about Japanese?
Manga, which is basically anime but in book form. Yes, that also sells really well as well.
Anime.
Yes,
Okay.
well, anime would be the televised version of it, the Japanese cartoons, most of which are based off of the manga, which are comic books read from right to left.
And what about graphic fiction? Do you sell that?
Oh, yes. That's very popular with the kids, especially.
So what I'm hearing is that we're leaning largely in modern times for your demographic toward visual literature. Is that right?
It can be. Most of the books I sell do not have pictures, but the way that they're written paints this vivid imagery in your mind.
Well, that's probably true of literature always. Great literature always, seizes your imagination and helps you paint and helps you live in that landscape that you create. And I think Stephen King said that his problem with non-readers is he feels like they can't lift the weight of fantasy themselves. That they need to go see the movie. They're the movie people. and he said then there's the people that go to movies that have already read the book and they're always disappointed because it hasn't created the picture in quite as vivid a way or consistent with their own cognitive style. And so they're always feeling like, well, it was good, but it wasn't as good as the book. But can it ever be? Because you created that world according to your own cognitive biases and preferences, which is the beauty of reading.
Right.
Now, when did you open your doors?
So as of now, we are not a brick and mortar yet. We are a pop-up store. The debut of which was March of 13th of this year, that required a couple of months of planning, getting the startup costs, the legal fees, all that, and the inventory, of course. But when it happened, Dr. Strong, we were at the Amigoland Convention Center at a large vendors fair.
Okay.
We had people lining up to get books. That's how desperate the people of Brownsville are for a bookstore.
I had an idea.
Yes.
A little crazy idea. When I was going down the road in the summer, and I would stop to buy watermelons from a guy that's always there. And a lot of us do that in the summer. You stop at the roadside truck. That's a pop-up in a sense, right?
Yeah, correct.
And I thought, it'd be really cool to sell books like this. Put your pickup out there with books and sell at the side of the road. And, just have a sign that says books, 2 for 1. And I really thought of doing it with my own books just for the hell of it. Just sit out there and open the tailgate and sell the books.
Oh my gosh.
It'd be fun to try, right?
Sure.
It'd be fun to try to use the vegetable marketing plan for books.
Wow. that would be a sight to see.
Okay, so you had the idea of opening this. You got a lot of people really interested in the idea.
Very much so.
And so do you have a place that's going to be the brick and mortar store?
Mm-hmm. I've been eyeing a couple of spots. Mm-hmm. There's this one spot in particular. I don't want to give any spoilers, but things are looking very good. Promising. Mm-hmm. I'm telling everyone that everything is slowly falling into place.
Good.
Yes.
That's great. Glad to hear it. Okay, so but you say pop-up. So how do you do that now? You just take a place and you have a bookstore on the corner for a few hours, or what? How do you do it?
Yes, I set up wherever they will let me set up. Sometimes they even invite me to set up. Our next one, as of recording this, will be at the first Friday. Well, tomorrow. Whenever I do that, I carry in my pickup truck my 2 library carts, 6 shelves each, a table, and a 1/4 ton of books. It takes me an hour to set up, an hour to set down.
That is so cool.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, but what I appreciate the most is that for events like these where I will have lots of foot traffic, like in First Friday, I will get the support of my wonderful girlfriend Priscilla, who volunteers for. On top of assisting the customers, she also gives me moral support, which I appreciate.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And so you will set up, and then people just come and browse the books, and you sell it using an actual cash register or Square, or what? How do you do it? You take credit cards?
Yes. I tell people I take everything.
Cash App, Venmo?
Everything.
That's wonderful. Well, then, so the idea is, your dream is that you're going to get this space that you're thinking is going to come through. And how many square feet? How big will this be?
I would like it to be somewhere in the realm of 2,500 to 3,000.
Oh, and that's a good size. And then and so half of it will be books and half of it coffee shop, or is that the idea?
Yes, or 2/3, 1/3, or
something like that.
Something like that.
And then you'll have muffins.
Yes. You can't just have a coffee by itself. You gotta eat something with it.
Quesadillas.
Yeah.
And do you have Spanish books?
Oh yeah, those are super popular as well. Anything that has to do with Latin voices, Spanish literature. Yes, they're hard to come across, but when people see an entire shelf on my cart to it, they appreciate what I have there.
So you know your market.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, you got to have some marcas. My first introduction to Latin American literature was 100 Years of Solitude.
Yes.
And boy, is that a challenging first book.
Oh my gosh. Magical realism.
Yeah, man, you need a flow chart to keep up with all the buendias.
Yes, lots of characters.
And then I went forward and I think I've read every book of his that exists, except maybe there's a few that haven't been translated. I doubt it, given the popularity of his work. And then Borges and Fuentes, I've read, all of those. So, and given proximity to Mexico, I would think Fuentes would be a fairly popular, for the serious literary person, perhaps. And I'm sure there's lots of names in that huge genre that I don't know that are popular. Because what I've noticed, because I've sons that are younger, and I've noticed the sort of thing they read is new to me. Most of the time I haven't heard of it before. I read science fiction a lot in college and afterwards, but that science fiction is not the science fiction people are mostly reading today.
Yes.
Which is the advantage of having teenage and college-age kids, is they teach you a lot about new stuff that you never would have ever been exposed to before. In fact, one of my sons gave me the book Mars, and it was, I think it's called Mars. It's the one that was made into the movie about the guy stranded on Mars.
Oh, The Martian.
Matt Damon. The Martian.
The Martian, yes.
Yeah, and I just read the first sentence, and I was hooked. The first sentence is, "I am so f***ed."
Yeah.
We can't say that, right? Okay. Well, we're just quoting, what it actually said.
Yes.
But I mean, man, it's like one of the other great lines in literature is by Camus. "Mother died today." It's one of those good declarative sentences that pulls you in. What are your favorite books?
Oh my
personally?
Gosh.
I mean, it didn't have to be your absolute top 5. Just the 3 or 4 that are in your top 20 anyway.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you the one book that I accredit to making me the man I am today, and that would be the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin.
Ah.
Yes, he is something else.
What a great choice.
Yes. I've always had a sort of fascination to him. He's my favorite of the American founding fathers because he was so eccentric. He was very true to himself. Yeah, so I read his autobiography to find out, okay, what is it about this man that made him great, and what are some of the things that he did that I can do in Brownsville to add value to myself and add value to the community.
Well, his probably most famous quote is very valuable to you now: "Keep thy shop, and it will keep thee."
Yeah.
So there's your mantra right there. Keep thy shop, and it will keep thee. Yeah, I'm with you. Franklin never ceases to amaze me with his diversity of brilliance.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, he wasn't just brilliant in one way. I mean, well, he was the first one to create the idea of a public library.
Correct.
He was the first one to come up with the idea we can loan books to each other. And the fire department. He came up with the idea of fire department. And what else? What other things did he do that blew your mind?
How much time do we have?
Yeah. Okay, well, we don't have a lot of time, so let's go on from Franklin. Who else do you, other books?
Other books. The other one that I also, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Yes. If you are in any industry that deals with people, customer service, that book is an absolute must. When I do my surveys, when I ask everyone, rate Buo in these aspects, customer service always ranks the highest. I know it is because of that book.
Well, it's still a classic. I think it was first published 80 years ago, and it remains a classic. It's still a bestseller.
Absolutely.
Because customer service never goes out of style. It's, in fact, probably more important today than ever before.
Correct.
I ran into the difference between the American concept of that and, let's say, the Spanish concept in Spain, because I remember being in a hotel. I had a group of people staying there in Madrid, and I had a little conflict, and I expected the management to solve it in my favor. But they pretty much informed me that I stayed there at their pleasure, and my group was there at their pleasure. I mean, here it's like, yes, sir, we appreciate your business, and whatever we can do for you, we need to do. And there it was pretty much the idea that the management is right, and you need to adjust to us because we allow you to stay here. and I'm not saying that I was doing anything horrible. It was just something that here you would expect the hotel to adjust to, because you're bringing in several $1,000s worth of business per week, even more than that in this particular case. But no, it was interesting that their idea of the PR was very different. So what is it that makes a bookstore in terms of its PR? What is good PR in a bookstore?
Good PR would be having a very active social media presence. And you have to build it in such a way that every action you do has a purpose. It must stay with the brand, the message, the mission that you want to abide by and stick to. If you do it correctly, everyone will talk about it, and that, like we said earlier, is free publicity. It's free publicity.
And if someone comes to you in a bookstore and I know this is a problem. You know they have a saying that that Best Buy is the showroom for Amazon.
Okay.
People go to Best Buy, they find out what they want, and they get it on Amazon.
Sure.
They get to see it there and then buy it maybe cheaper. And so that's the problem bookstores have. Is, go to a bookstore and people look around and they say, or especially if they don't have it, they say, I like this book, but I want to buy the sequel. They don't have it right here. I can order it. Amazon will get it to me in 4 days or whatever. And so I guess that's the challenge is, especially if you're a small book, how do I get them what they want right now, or at least make them wait, where I say, yeah, I can get it for you. But a lot of people won't wait.
Oh, yes. I often think that I am not in the book industry. I am in the hospitality industry. I'm in the entertainment industry.
I like that, yes.
Yes. So another mission that I have to do is provide an experience that makes the local readers refrain from using Amazon to favor going to a bookstore, sitting down, having a cup of coffee, eating a muffin.
And after a while, people will want to support your bookstore.
Exactly.
I mean, I know that. Already for me, you have my admiration and appreciation for what you're doing for the community. So I will want to frequent your business, and I will want to order from you instead of Amazon to help you.
Thank you.
Because one of the things that makes, I think, a great community is great libraries, great bookstores, beautiful parks.
Yes.
These kind of cultural options that without them, we are a desert.
Right.
So I thank you for being brave enough to do this.
Thank you.
Now, the other thing I wanted to, this is completely different, but I was fascinated by your traveling to all the courthouses in Texas.
Yes.
Now, why you seem to have this propensity for discovery of crazy ideas. So was this in the shower also that you decided to do this?
No, it was just something that came about. I every so often drive to different parts of Texas. I like exploring small town America. And I did notice that throughout all these travels, I did cross through the county seats of any one of the 254 counties of Texas. I thought, well, why? People have made it a goal of theirs to be or visit or photograph each one of the Texas courthouses. Well, why can't I do that too?
Sure, you can do that.
Yes, so far I am at 63 as of recording.
Yeah. Well, every courthouse is a story.
Yes.
It is often the premier building in these communities, the one that was the most expensive, took the most time, required the most, political intrigue to get built. It often has the jail, or did, and has the police department or sheriff's department, and naturally the court system. So out of the ones you've done, which ones stick out in your mind as being particularly special?
Which ones stick out in my mind as being particularly special?
Either beautiful or just unusual.
Okay. The most beautiful is either the one in Goliad or the one in Lockhart. Yeah, both of those are gorgeous. Now, the most unusual would be the one in Aransas County, Rockport.
Rockport.
Yes. Because of Hurricane Harvey, their courthouse got destroyed. So right now, they are in what used to be a Walmart?
Oh, is that right?
Yes, something like that. While they are fundraising, gathering taxpayer money to build a new courthouse.
I don't doubt it, but Walmart is often the largest facility. There's a lot of old Walmarts around the country where they built a new one. And they've got this huge building still there, and Walmart will often donate it.
Yes.
Or sell it for $1 or something. And they write it off as a business loss. Anyway, that makes sense to me that they would be them. But yes, out in West Texas, they have these phenomenal courthouses, and many of them have old murals in them that were painted years ago. They're just gorgeous historical artifacts, really. And they're often in the center of the community. They're right smack in the middle. You'll be driving, into town, and you literally have to go around the courthouse to continue your journey. It always puts you around you have to encircle the courthouse because it is the center of town. Mm-hmm. And not so much in the courthouses built in the more modern era, because communities are so spread out that the courthouse may be like ours here that's down this way. The community has grown differently. There isn't this movement to build the new courthouse in the middle of the town. But it's a fascinating historical fact that they are built in the center of communities, and they are made of granite, pink granite and white granite. They're gorgeous. And you're a photographer too?
Yes.
Yeah. What else do you photograph?
Birds.
Oh, birds.
Birds. I am an avid birder, yes.
Well, you're the right place for that. When did you develop your interest in photographing birds?
Well, I first got interested in birding when I was 11 years old. I was in the 5th grade. I was the class nerd. And the only book in Mr. Samora's science class that intrigued me, because I thought all the other books were too childish, quote unquote, for me at the time. The only one that was more for a more mature audience was the 3rd edition of the National Geographic Field Guide to the Birds of North America.
Wow.
Yes, so I would peruse that every single day, to the point where after class I would say, "Oh, that's a great kiskadee. Oh, that sounds like a chachalaka." Yeah, and then eventually I would force my good sport of a father to take me to all these local nature reserves, like one at this close, Sable Palm Grove, so I could further delve into the world of birding.
Do you have one of those books where you check off all the birds you've seen?
I'm not that hardcore, but I more or less want to say that I've seen 200 or so species in my lifetime.
So while your friends were out shooting dove, you were out shooting birds in a different way.
Yes, a different type of hunting, if you will.
So what is your favorite photographic capture of a bird?
Oh my gosh. Well, my favorite ones are the ones that would be considered, the word in birding is vagrant, as in they're unexpected here, they don't live here, but they just show up.
They just show up. Yeah.
They just show up. The most noteworthy of which, even though it wasn't the first to be seen here, an American flamingo showed up at Laguna Tascosa at November of last year. I was actually the first birder to actually go see it, after a non-birder was going around it in a very remote trail. He said, "Hey guys, look what I found." And it was like, "What? No!" Yes, so upon hours of seeing that, I drove out there. Yeah, because all the birders were probably busy, and I just happened to have the afternoon free. I went over there, and I confirmed for myself, like, "Yes, guys, it's right here." I put it on Facebook groups.
That's great.
Yes, yes.
One year, I used to live in San Benito on Oaxaca, and for some reason, about 100 white pelicans decided to winter there for a few weeks, and I wish I were a better photographer. I got lots of pictures of them, but they just weren't National Geographic quality. Just to kind of see a bunch of white birds, but it was beautiful to watch them. And I think also, last year I went out with the Peregrine Falcon Foundation at the island.
Yes.
They go out and they tag the birds in migration patterns so they can track them and stuff. So I went out and helped them tag some birds, and I got to actually hold the peregrine falcon while they tagged it and release it into the air, and it was very cool. Very cool.
It was the fastest bird in America.
Oh yeah, fastest in the world.
In the world, you're right.
Yeah, fastest creature in the world. They fly at 200 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. And they something they told me that blew my mind is that the way that their oxygen, their air intake works, has informed the design of jets, because they dive at 200 miles an hour and they have to breathe, and it goes up into their nostrils. That the air is just pulled in, and so they learned to do that for jet engines to make them function better. So they designed it off of what the anatomy of those birds.
Yes.
So fascinating kind of metaphors that work for engineering.
That's right.
As well as flight itself. Right. Well, listen, thanks a lot for coming in. I really appreciate your coming here, and I am so excited about your entrepreneurial dream, and I will absolutely support you, as I'm sure the entire community will. So if all things go well, when will you open the bricks and mortar store?
If all goes well, optimistically speaking, sometime in late 2023.
Okay. Do you have investors?
Not yet, but I am gathering all sorts of data, revenue, expenses, all that, so I could.
So you can do it.
Right, so I could present this information to anyone who might be interested, banks, small business administration, and so forth.
Well, maybe we'll just have you come back and we'll treat this like Shark Tank, and you make your presentation, and we'll bring in some banks and millionaires over here, and Elon Musk, and we'll see who'll back your idea. All right.
I wouldn't be opposed to it.
All right. Good to meet you, buddy. Enjoy.
Likewise, Dr. Strong. Thank you so much.